All in all, still working through our Q&As from the training that we've had here. There was a good number of questions left by a lot of practitioners and parents on the course. We're still making our way through them. We've had a couple online as well in comments and emails that we're adding to it too. So we've got through a fair amount of questions, still a few more to go though. Quick one now, how are reading problems or dyslexia connected with movement?
Okay, well, I'm dyslexic, or I would say I was. I have dyslexia phrase. I still get caught up once in a while. Can't read a romance novel to save my life because I'll have them in Paris when they should be in London. So I mix up the phrases. A real classic thing was I used to trade way back when, and there was an article I was reading, Platinum, the White Metal, and I saw the white meat. I knew that wasn't right, and that's where I read stuff that I'm familiar with versus abstract reading. I'm getting better at it, but and I do better with audio.
Is that why you feel you do better with videos as well?
Oh, well, I'm very visual too. Yeah. The reason is too, growing up as a kid, to ask me to read the paragraph, I called in sick to school. I thought of every reason to get out of it, but I was a very good drawer. So I used those talents. So if you want to do, a whole diorama on Edgar Allan Poe, I cut up my Barbie doll. I had them underneath the floorboards. Everyone's like, that's gross. I'm like, we're reading Poe. It's 8th grade. You know what I mean? I was a visual person.
Yeah.
And I champed at that. But now, because I do movement lesson and all of that, then I really don't even notice my reading issues. Well, my problems were I had boots on my feet. I had Denison bars at 6 weeks of age. I crawled till I was 21 months. I joke around. That's why I'm so smart. I crawled so long. But my legs are crooked due to this. They've misshaped due to the bars, due to all of that. But I didn't come to sitting through my tush. When you have dyslexia, and I see this a lot, I work on cry readings with Orthodox for the Jewish, because again, or Arabic, because they read to the left, they lead to the right. This is where coming to sitting is so important. You're here and you come to sitting, right? And I just talked about this in a previous live just this morning. You're working on your visual arcs. Reading, people think it's like this and they try and put the rulers down, but you have to catch the words. And to do that, your eyes have to arc and find it on the page and then start to read. You need a visual curve to it. And coming to sitting, going from sitting into all fours, that miles grabbing your feet really sets up reading and cutting scissors, riding bicycles. Those were all those movements will mature into. And again, Scott did this great review on rugby yesterday and so forth, and just watching people, oh my gosh, to actually catch that, rotate around and still, again, know where everything is. Guys, this is in a sense a form of dyslexia. If you're out in the soccer pitch and you're seeing the ball and then you lose the ball, pay attention, all this sort of stuff. But if you're running and your eyes can't curve and work around that and work around your curved pelvis, again, this is high-end rugby and they're playing for the World Cup, but it's all what we're teaching here. We want your child to sit up, but we want rugby players.
And I think so much of that, you see the kids, and obviously being in a teacher in a classroom, you see that, and you see like concentration with kids, but they're struggling with it, and it's because of that that visual impact that's having on them, and they're losing that concentration because they're having to work harder than other people. I also think from your description then, do you feel like is it a chicken or egg type thing? Do you think that there's a dyslexia, or what else did we have, reading problems that's impacting movement, or do you think movement is impacting the dyslexia and reading issues? Because for me, like going off that description, it goes back to the neural mapping. So movement is so important, and the weight transfer for a kid is so important to go through step-by-step progress as the neural mapping of the brain, right? So is that then what's causing the issues with the dyslexia or the reading problems, because they've missed or skipped stages? Or
Yeah, you're not meant to skip a milestone, but if you change the movement or work on the movement, it's automatically going to feed into that. Like I worked with a little girl she happened to be from South Africa, and she got on my table. Now she could have sold ice to Eskimos. I talked about Danielle before. I was still in my training, so I wasn't, like Michelle Turner yet or anything like that. And she got on my table and I touched her back and I was like, she's never crawled. Like it was freaky, like not like it was just missing. And
And if you've not watched yesterday's live that Michelle talks about what she feels in the touch, go back and watch it because it's fantastic. It's fascinating. Sorry, go on.
That's okay. So I looked at the parents and I'm like, she's never crawled. And that's when parents are like, okay, this lady's a spoon bender. Can we leave now? And she was born in South Africa, and her nanny prevented crawling. Actually papoosed her, carried her until she was ready to walk. So, because a lot of tribes still believe that if they crawl, they get in the animal spirits and so forth. This has been noted for centuries, but she was prevented of it. And so she had 9 lessons with me, and her third lesson was, "You're touching my butt." And I'm like, "You finally know you have one," because she had no back end. She had no idea that this part of her body existed. And again, cognitively, she was great. And they came to me because of biking and cutting scissors and those kind of things and reading. And then she was like, the following week, "I don't fall out of bed anymore because I come see you." And I'm like, okay, she's associating all of this. And yeah, by the 3rd week, they're like, "You didn't work with cutting scissors. You didn't work with bicycles, but she's riding a bike. She's not clumsy anymore. She's not." I'm like, yeah, because I didn't ask her to crawl, but I, with touch, put the movement back in the system. And that's what my practitioners do, you know.
And I think for me, and I think back to, we used to talk about like different learning styles that people had, and some were auditory learners, some were visual learners, some were kinesthetic learners, and you can go back and think about that and think about how, well, if we've got different learning styles, then is that impacted by certain aspects of development? Is that also going to have an impact on how people learn to move as well? And what's the easiest way for them to learn to move? And have they never seen it or got it in the right idea or right method for them? And it's, you know, it can be a little bit chicken and egg, I suppose, in terms of that. So some might be causing issues with movement that movement can then help correct, and at the same time, or at least reduce. And at the same time, if you're skipping stages, that's potentially then going to cause other problems with learning, and particularly like when you get into the classroom. It's, you know, like we're talking about movement and potentially we're going to create rugby players for the World Cup at the minute, you know, or cricket for the World Cup. But at the same time, are we enhancing their potential within a classroom?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it could be something so obvious but so overlooked. Like I said, I work with a lot with the Jewish community, and these little kids are so worried that if just by turning this, my yarmulke is going to slip. So that they're literally, some of these kids are like this, trying to hold it on, and you're wondering why they're having troubles reading. So, and you can tell because they can either read English or they can read Hebrew, right? Let's just say, for example, but they can't do both. They can't. You know, and I see them actually like literally where they're writing and there's like a midline break that they can't go over because of that. And these are just things that I have to address with the older kids. And also, squirrel, I was going to say one other thing. So go on and talk. Let's see if I remember what I was going to say.
I think that's it really for that. We've got sessions about to start at
we
10.
We
so
do. Yeah,
I mean,
we could talk forever.
If anyone's got any questions that we've not resolved there, then please ask. But I think that's a pretty good conclusive answer to that question. Good, another good question left by whichever practitioner left out the training. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day. See you in a bit. Cheers, as they say.